Welcome to Stetson Law Live, an online, interactive, informational event for prospective students of Stetson University College of Law. On today's program, Joann Grages Burnett, Ryan Hoyle. Our topic today, getting ready for law school, an intro to building your career. And now, here are Joann and Ryan.
Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Joann Grages Burnett and I'm the Associate Director of Career Development here at Stetson University College of Law. And I'm joined today by Ryan Hoyle, who will introduce himself in just a moment, from our Clinical Education Department. And we are so excited to welcome you to today's webinar, where we're going to be talking to you about how to get ready for your legal career and tips that you can do this summer as you prepare for law school. But this webinar is really about you. So we want to make sure that we answer your questions. Feel free to chime in at any point. We're monitoring the chat and we're delighted to answer any questions that you have about anything, really. And if we don't have the answer, we'll make sure that we get you the answer. So now I'll turn it over to Ryan to introduce himself.
Thanks, Joann. I'm Ryan Hoyle. As Joann indicated, I'm the Assistant Director for Clinical Education here at Stetson College of Law. I completed my undergrad degree at Bridgewater State College in Massachusetts, where I was born and raised. And then my wife clubbed me over the head, brought me down to Florida and to Tallahassee, where I completed a master's and a law degree. And then we had the good fortune to move to the Tampa-St. Petersburg area, where my wife actually attended Stetson Law and graduated in 2015. And I've been practicing first in insurance defense in the community for 4 years, and now spent the last year and a half back on Stetson's campus as Assistant Director for Clinical Education. It's been a great return for me to the Stetson family, having seen my wife go through law school here.
Wonderful. And I graduated from Stetson University College of Law back in 2008, and after that I practiced as an assistant public defender, and I am delighted to have been back at the College of Law for about 6 years now in the Career Development Office. So I'll tell you a little bit about our office, but first I'll sort of let you know that we're here today because our offices, Clinical Education and Career Development, we work really closely with one another with our students. We know that the opportunities that Ryan's going to talk about today in the clinics and externships that his office offers are so important to your career development, are really wonderful opportunities to help you get great experience while you're in law school, build resume, but also really indicates to employers that you are career ready, and that's really what all of this is about. So in the Career Development Office, we have 6 people in our team, and Stan in a moment is gonna show you our pictures. But what we do is we help you get ready for your career. Whatever it is that you wanna do with your law degree, we will help you do that. If you know what you wanna do, we'll help you build a strategy for that. If you're not yet sure what you want to do, we will help you figure out how to develop a strategy for that. We will help introduce you to our employers. We have an on-campus recruiting program which brings employers here on campus, and we offer a variety of workshops and programs to make sure that you are ready for the next step after law school. We want to see you pretty early in your law school career. Probably around October is when we really want to start working with you to develop your summer plans. Of course, if you have questions in the meantime, that's where we're here today, but we're also able to answer questions before you start orientation. And so, Ryan, why don't you tell us a little bit about your office?
Thanks, Joann. And as Joann indicated, my office, Clinical Education, works very closely or hand in hand with career development, because the unique structure of my office and our product is that we provide an intersection between your classroom work and your career work. So Clinical Education provides externships and clinics. These are practical work experiences for credit. And we do that beginning your 1L summer through the remainder of your law school career. So as Joann indicated, working hand in hand, ideally you may communicate with career development about your career goals, and they may refer you to us to talk about opportunities that you have to participate and get practical experience while in law school, earn credit for that practical experience, and also build on the experiences you have in a setting, in a practical setting, by reinforcing that with classroom components, doctrinal elements, things such as how to cross-examine a witness, how to take a deposition, additional research techniques. Stetson offers over 400 clinical education opportunities every year. We, in fact, have more opportunities than we have usually students to fill them. So oftentimes, students have multiple choices and selections to improve their career perspectives, enhance their professional development, and reinforce the skills and legal education they're learning in the classroom. The thing that makes Stetson's clinical education opportunities unique is that all of our externships are taught by tenured faculty members who are experts in their field. If you are taking a labor law externship, you are studying and learning under a tenured labor law professor, and the same goes for each of our externships.
Wonderful. And I can tell you, as a student, I participated in some of our externships, and they are remarkable opportunities. I had the opportunity to work very closely with the judge in an externship, and then I also did a clinical program my third year, which was ultimately what led to my first job after law school. I served as a clinic student in the public defender's office. They're remarkable opportunities. We really encourage students to take advantage of them. Now, I have one question. We have one question from a viewer, and the question is, will we have an assigned career mentor? The short answer is no. We are not assigning you to anyone in the career development office. You are welcome to meet with any one of us, all of us, whatever it is that you, whoever you want to meet with. We're delighted to work with you. Now, if I'm working with you and I think you'd be a great fit for my colleague Corey, then we'll make an introduction. But no, the short answer is you're not assigned to anyone. We welcome all of you to any one of us.
Well, and Joann, I think one of the benefits of how our offices work so closely together is that when I see a student come in, my door is always open, and I encourage students to come in as early as possible that has particular career goals. I know I can refer them to you, as you mentioned, Corey, the rest of your team, and their doors are open. They have meetings with students all the time. So you're right, there isn't an assigned career mentor, but there's opportunities to meet and exchange perspectives with a variety of career and clinical education professionals.
Wonderful. Before we get into some of the tips, and I see a couple of questions coming in, I'm loving them, I'm going to get to those, but Ryan, I'd like you to sort of outline the differences, because your office handles clinics and externships. I want you to sort of outline the differences between a clinical experience and an externship experience.
Sure, thanks, Joann. And that's actually our most common question, is what is the difference? An externship is a really fancy way of saying an internship. So many of you who have probably interned in your undergrad career would be doing something similar as an extern here at Stetson in the clinical education department. Externships are designed to provide students with a substantial lawyering opportunity. So if you were to go to a government organization, if you were to go to a state attorney's office, you would ideally be doing the same types of research, drafting, review of documents that the lawyers in those offices would be doing. You can participate in an externship as early as your 1L or your rising 2L summer and throughout the remainder of your law school career. A clinic takes the externship and transitions that one step further. So as a clinic student, you are actually certified by the Supreme Court of Florida to serve as a certified legal intern. And that allows you to actually represent individuals, agencies, or governments as an attorney practicing law while still in law school. So if you participate in our public defender clinic, which is the oldest law school clinic in the state of Florida, you will be representing individual defendants in the state of Florida. You'll be reviewing and drafting motions, you'll be doing the research leading to those motions, but you'll also be appearing in court, making appearances, and making arguments in court. You can, as a clinic student, prepare and run a trial for a defendant of the state of Florida. Or conversely, if you're in one of our prosecution clinics, you would be representing the state of Florida, arguing and preparing for trial and actually presenting the trial on behalf of the state of Florida. So many of our clinic students actually graduate having gone through several jury trials or bench trials prior to graduation.
And I just want to echo what remarkable those opportunities are for you to have those real world practical experiences before you even graduate law school. One of the questions that we had was, is there a limit how many times you can participate in a clinic or an externship? So is there a limit?
There isn't a limit other than that you're restricted to one per semester, given the time commitments and the concerns about confidential information sharing. So we have had students participate in 3, 4, 5 different externships or clinics, and truthfully, that's a great way to build on your professional development. If you start in an externship, we have a municipal and administrative law externship where you can work for some of the city and county governments in the area. If you participate in that, you can then transition in your 3rd year to the local government clinic, where you are actually representing the city of St. Petersburg, again, as a certified legal intern.
And some of the resources that we have to learn more about the specific opportunities that we talked about, I know Stan showed it earlier, which was the program opportunities, the course opportunities, and there's also some videos that I think will link to you in the chat that are videos from some of our clinic supervisors and our clinic participants that talk about the type of experience that they had and how they used that to sort of launch their career. Those are great resources to learn a little bit more. Wonderful. So again, if you have questions, please feel free to ask. We're looking forward to offering our advice and insight on that. I do see one. How do we apply for a clinic, and are they paid jobs? So Ryan, you want to take that one? Sure.
Sure. Okay. So the clinical education department runs annual or semester by semester registration for clinics and externships. And the nice thing about clinics and externships is that by and large, you do not have to interview for positions. These are places where, again, our tenured faculty members have existing relationships with an agency, with a nonprofit, with an organization where we have spots for students to place. And so you apply to our department. There are selections made by the overseeing faculty members, and then we have a place for you, and you do not have to interview with that placement. The current Stetson policy is that we do not provide clinics or externships with paid positions or at a paid position. But again, that's where, Joann, your office comes in, career development, because...
Right. So our office does have paid opportunities that students can participate in. They would not be for academic credit, of course, but a number of our students will participate as serving as a law clerk or a summer associate, either during their summers or during their 2nd and 3rd year. We do have a number of students who will work part-time for a law firm, for a company, depending on what your personal strategy is for your career. And again, that's where you work with us. We have a lot of different opportunities that take place throughout the year and through the summers where you can interview for those specific positions. We can introduce you to those employers. So that's another example where our offices work very closely, because if we know what you're interested in, we can help guide you to specific externships and clinics. We can help you also with employers to reach out to. And again, that's where our offices work well with helping you build a strategy.
Oh, Joann, you mentioned you had done a clinic in your 3rd year in your time here. I mentioned at the beginning that my wife graduated from Stetson, and she actually turned to your office and very successfully had a job her 1L summer, transitioned that into a position as a summer associate with a large firm her 2nd summer, and has been there ever since. And so there are different paths and opportunities for everyone to take. And like you said, there's a lot of back and forth between our offices with individual students so that we can identify their needs and meet their needs as effectively as possible.
Absolutely. So now we promised you some tips, right? Some things that you can do this summer or when you first get to law school to help you make sure that you are career ready to participate not only with our office but also with clinical education. So I want to skip one, and to participate in a clinic specifically, there are a lot of steps that you need to do in order to be eligible. So I want to ask Ryan to talk a little bit about what you need to do to get ready to do a clinic and offer some things, a tip or two about how to get ready this summer.
Sure, and this will actually refer back to the applicant who asked the question about how to apply for a clinic. To apply for a clinic, you apply through our office. It's a very simple application that will inform you on and instruct you on when you start here. But as Joann indicated, to participate as a clinic student, you actually need to be cleared by the Florida Bar from a character and fitness perspective. That means applying for your character and fitness clearance to the Florida Bar as early as possible, because that turnaround time can be anywhere from 6 to 8 months with the Florida Bar. Now, the great advantage that Stetson offers its students is that they will pay for the Florida Bar application during a student's 1L year, which saves students a significant chunk of change. It let me not eat ramen every night, right? When my wife applied. But the things you want to keep in mind as you're preparing for law school is the idea that you should be considering that Florida Bar application. And that Florida Bar application is extensive, voluminous, and detailed, okay? So you're going to want to make sure that you have your birth certificate available so that you can provide a copy. Your addresses for the last 10 years. And if you are a second career transition into law school like I was, you may have a lengthy list of addresses throughout the country that you have to remember and identify and track down. You're going to need to know your employers for 10 years, financial records, any sort of speeding tickets. That was a challenge for me. But you need to have that sort of information, and it's a lot easier to document and gather that information over the summer than when you're also trying to study for law school. Once you have that character and fitness clearance, you can participate in one of our clinics in your third year. But again, the sooner you get that bar application in, the better.
And I know during our orientation video series, you will learn a little bit more about that process, but it is important to keep in mind if you're at your permanent residence this summer to start gathering that information. It will make your first year a lot easier in the sense that you won't have to be trying to figure out that information now before the January deadline to apply as a 1L. So you'll hear more about it later, but just know that's one of our tips, is to gather all of that information while you can. And that will help you be ready to participate in a clinic. And it'll help you from our office's perspective too. It's an important milestone to get that Florida Bar application out of the way. Another tip that I'll share with you is to sort of connect with people who have helped you get this far into law school. I mean, professors, people that you have previously worked with, colleagues, classmates. Start sort of connecting with them, letting them know what you're going to be doing. You never know when you might want to reach back out to them while you're in law school. LinkedIn is a really helpful resource for that, to set up a LinkedIn profile. You can certainly connect with either one of us. We'd love to be connected with you on LinkedIn, but that's a good way of sort of helping you connect with people. And certainly thank the people who wrote you a letter of recommendation or whose class you really appreciated if you're coming right from law school. These are important relationships to sort of to keep close while you go into law school. So that would be one of my tips, is to sort of just connect with people.
So you, Joann, you obviously went through law school and successfully. Do you remember what you did the summer before law school? And now thinking back on it, did the things you did, would you do things differently?
I think I would. Now, we didn't have LinkedIn back then, but I know I worked a lot during the summer. Right. I don't think I read enough for fun. I think I would have probably read a few books just for fun. When you go into law school, you'll be doing a lot of reading. And I think I would have probably connected a little bit more with some of the professors that I had in college and some of the places that I worked. I know I certainly appreciated all that they did to help me get into law school, but I think I would have probably vowed to keep in touch a little bit more. What about you?
Well, that's interesting, and it leads to one of the other tips we were going to talk about, the idea of developing a personal narrative. So I did a lot of things that actually have very little relation to law school, but would be useful going through law school. So I worked for a moving company over the summer, which was exhausting. And I completed a master's thesis on Superman, which doesn't seem to have a lot of translation to law school. But one of the things that you might want to think about in preparing for law school is working on your personal narrative. And when I think back on what I did, what I should have done more purposefully is think along the way as I was performing each of these tasks, participating, working for a moving company, writing a thesis. I took a vacation and drove a boat in Ireland. My wife likes to joke that I took a 28-point turn in a marina, which is possible, and get out successfully. those sort of things all reference who I am, how I am professionally, or can be transitioned to what I can do professionally. And had I been thinking more strategically in my summer before law school, I could have presented or thought of opportunities in terms of how to transition these stories into effective professional narratives, personal narratives. And that's something that your office focuses on quite a bit, and is something that I wish I had had the benefit of when I was going to law school.
And I think that's important. And we talk a lot in our office about self-assessment. Understand how you think, how you prefer to communicate. Those are important things to really be mindful of as you enter law school and then the legal profession. So during orientation, you'll hear more about, we offer students to take the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator as one tool of understanding a little bit more about your communication preferences, and you'll learn a little bit more about in orientation as well. But if you are one of the students, as I was, who really didn't know what I wanted to do with my law degree, I would encourage you, and this will be my next tip, to connect with some lawyers. Now, if you know some, fantastic. Reach out. Let them know that you're going to be starting law school. Ask for advice, ask for tips, try to grab coffee. If you don't know any lawyers, and that's fine, I didn't know any lawyers either. One thing I think is incredibly effective is to go and watch court. We're fortunate in our country to have open courts, and you can go and sit, watch a trial, connect with someone at the courthouse and just ask them what is interesting that's going on today, and you know, can you help me get into the right courtroom? You know, dress up, bring a notepad, and just listen and watch lawyers in court, watch what they do. And if you're inclined, introduce yourself and say, I'm going to be starting Stetson in the fall. I'd love some advice. I think you'd be surprised how open lawyers and the legal profession as a whole is to working with law students and offering their advice and feedback. So that's a way, I think, to really understand what it is that lawyers do and to sort of get a sense of how you want to, how you envision yourself in the legal profession. I do see we have a question here. So is there somewhere on the Stetson Law site where we can locate a detailed list of the required information for the bar application? So the short answer is you can go to the Florida Board of Bar Examiners. That is such a mouthful.
Fast,
oh my goodness.
Right?
And I think Carmen will put up the link for that. The Florida Board of Bar Examiners, and there's some information there on how to apply as a 1L, but you will also get some additional information in orientation through our wonderful folks in Bar Prep, our Office of Bar Preparation Services, and they'll be able to help you with that application as well. But the Florida Board of Bar Examiners is the main home for that application. Another question is, where do we begin working on the application? You can't actually submit the application until you have started law school, and that first deadline is usually January 15th. So for this entering class, it'll be January 15th of 2018. There's the website up there. There is a list of all of the documents that you should think about gathering, and that would be a great place to start as we talked about sort of gathering those documents that we don't always have at our fingertips, like our birth certificate or that speeding ticket that you got in college. Right?
It's really an eye-opening experience to your last like 10 years
Absolutely.
of life. Yeah.
Absolutely. One of the other tips that I'll share, and I know we're running a little short on time, but again, this is just the start of the conversation. We have about 5 minutes left. But one of the resources that I think is really helpful if you aren't exactly sure what type of law you want to practice is to go to our curriculum navigator. And I think Carmen's going to throw up the link to that. That is a really remarkable website that was spearheaded by one of our professors here, Professor Mark Bauer. And it'll help you sort of figure out what sort of classes and externships and clinics to think about if you are interested in a specific practice area. And I think that is a good place to sort of just spend a little time looking at some of the courses that we offer, some of the experiences, and then also some of the faculty members that you might want to connect with once you're here on campus. Another thing to keep an eye out for, you'll get one at orientation. It'll be the 1L program guide. And this will outline all of the programs that not only my office and Ryan's office will be hosting in the fall, but also some of the other departments on campus where we think these are really important programs and opportunities for 1Ls to participate in addition to the wonderful student organization programs that you'll see. We communicate with you about all these programs, but keep an eye out for this in orientation. It's just a good guide to have when it comes to planning your fall schedule. And again, so the curriculum navigator, the program guide, and also just make sure that you're connecting with our offices pretty early in your 1L year, and we'll give you plenty of opportunities to do that. Any other tips that you have, Ryan?
You know, I think you mentioned connecting with our offices. I'm happy to take emails or inquiries as soon as you're admitted to Stetson Law so that you can, again, start the process of developing your personal narrative, developing your career goals. Joann, you mentioned that you didn't really know what type of law you wanted to go into. I didn't, you know, or as I used to say, I don't want to litigate, and then I litigated. But the idea that you start having discussions with the professionals on campus as soon as possible, spending your 1L summer and take time to go to court. I sat on a jury my 1L year, and that was eye-opening for a lot of reasons. But that gives you a completely different perspective. And I never would have thought of the idea of going to court before going to law school, but that will open your eyes to so many different avenues that you can explore in your law school career. And I think that's a really great way to start off your successful transition to Stetson Law.
Absolutely. So we had a question, if I'm not sure what area of law I'm interested in yet, where on campus is the best place to start and get advice? That's a great question. And certainly before you come to school, you're welcome to reach out to any one of us, and we're happy to offer our thoughts and advice. But career development, I think, is a great place to start. We work with 1Ls, and we want to work with 1Ls very early because these types of, any career really takes a significant amount of planning, and we want to make sure that you are happy in your first job after law school. We're really proud of our graduates. We're really proud of the successes that they've had after law school and the jobs that they've obtained. And so if you can meet with us early, and like I said, after school starts, we want to see you about October to start planning the summer. I think that's a good place to start to sort of figure out, you know, to do some sorting and figure out what areas you might be interested in. Your faculty members are another great resource for that. Your 1L faculty members are going to be committed to your success. We're very fortunate here at Stetson to have such a great group of faculty who really do care very much about your success. So feel free to reach out to faculty members. If you want to connect to a specific faculty member now, feel free to reach out to admissions, and they'll be delighted to help you through that process. And I think they're going to throw up our emails in a minute. We're delighted to help you as well, whatever you need. Well, we are about out of time, so we want to thank you for participating. Thank you for investing your time in learning a little bit more about how to get ready for your legal career. I know I speak on behalf of my entire office when I say we really can't wait to get started with you, and we can't wait to see you in the fall. And we're here if you need anything.
Same from clinical education. We're looking forward to working with you over the next 3 years.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you for watching Stetson Law Live. For your convenience, our contact information will remain on screen for the next few minutes. Thanks for watching. We look forward to seeing you soon.